How are we doing? How are we doing? Welcome to the day 4 session. You've come really far and we've learnt loads, but we're going to learn even more today. And we're going to look at something a bit more technical. I've noticed that in some of the photos, we are having common problems, which is focus. Everybody, when they begin at photography, struggles with this one. One thing they struggle with is getting a sharp photo. Just make sure I'm loud enough. And the other thing that they struggle with, sharp photo and focus. So composition and stuff, that's the artsy skills. That's like how we view it, what the scene is going to be like, and what story we're telling. But this is one of our technical skills or our more sciencey skills, which is how to make that photo then look awesome because it's focused the way we want. So without further ado, let's get some information in. So in this, we have talked before about the macro or flower mode on your camera. So I want to show you that and go in a bit more detail. We've also talked about landscape photos, and I know that some of you have some good views, and that Levi, you're really keen to understand a bit more about landscape photos. You told me that last time, so I did want to cover that for you. And also auto mode, because not all cameras have macro and landscape, and how that works. So let's see. If you are trying to focus and change the mode on a phone, what you might find is that there's a button called mode. Do you see that? Just here, where the red line comes to, it says mode. And this is giving you a selection of different weird looking modes like documentary, historical, and so forth. Scenery is landscape, if you get that one. So scenery means a wide scene, the scene that you see. And if it says like flower or close up or macro, that's the opposite end. So that's like really small and close, whereas landscape and scenery is like really big and far away. It might say cityscape or something as well. If you don't have fancy modes to choose from on your camera, you may find something down here under the cog. The cog means settings, so maybe have a look through the settings. And if you can find out your phone's make and model number, Google is amazing. But if you're struggling, if you can find out that make and model number, drop a note in the comments for me, or send me an email, and let me just add that on the bottom, because that's going to be a useful thing to have. If you need to get in touch, there you go. Ta-da! I should probably stop that scrolling. That's going to be really distracting. There you go. So if you need to send me the details, I've already found the camera manual with about 3 minutes worth of searching, and downloaded that and sent that over to you, Lucas. So you can have a look through that, and that will really help for your specific camera. But if you know the make and model number, there is pretty much a manual or a how-to guide on the internet for every different technology out there, because the problem is that everybody's phones with so many brands and everybody's cameras with even more different models within the brands are different. So there's similar things and there's certain things that are almost the same, but it may be a bit different. So if you get stuck, please look at your manual. I must admit, I geek out. I always read the manual, and I have for my cameras, my manual's downloaded on my phone. Because I've got Nikon and Sony cameras, there is a manual guide for those cameras, and they have like their own digital ones as well, which means that you have this awesome function. With a paper one, you've got to find and look at the page numbers and go through. With a digital guide, guess what you get to do? Search, and you type in the box focus, or you type in the box mode or macro, and it takes you to the pages that have that on, so you can skip through and go no, 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 bingo, I found it. So that's that one. Back to getting very excited there. So on your camera and on your phone, you might have the same little symbols. but in the settings, but on your camera, these are the pictures that may either be on the back on some of the buttons, or maybe on the top on a wheel like this. And auto, this is where you start with your camera when you first start taking photos, because it works everything out for you. These other buttons, these are when we start getting a bit more technical and controlling things. And that's something that in the Shoot and Share Academy that we will go into bit by bit, is for those who want to learn more control and to start being able to work out how bright your photo is, how dark your photo is, where you focus and stuff with more control so that the images turn out exactly how you want them. We'll cover that. But for now, quick overview. You will have a little sports running person. That's for anything fast. Do you know, some of you, if you've had like the jumping frog or the running sister, this is perfect. The sport mode basically means that the camera takes the photo incredibly fast. Now, if it's got its lens open for a while before it closes it, anything that goes past blurs. Do you remember on the first day we looked at the moving man? Because if the camera's opening and the person goes past and closes, all you'll get is a blur line. Whereas if the person is running past and it goes super fast, that stops it stationary still. So sport mode for that. Portrait mode means it works well for skin tones, and it also may focus sort of mid-distance. So you may find that if you are trying to focus on something and we've tried the macro mode and we've tried the landscape mode, and one's too far away and one's too close, you could try portrait mode, because that will be expecting, you expect when you take a portrait people to be a couple of meters, a few feet away from you. So that might be mid-distance. That might be a good one to try. Now, night portrait deliberately will keep the shutter open for ages, so it'll be a really slow photo because it wants to let all the light in the camera, if it's really dark and there's stars. So you get that. But then, because people, if you had to remember, we said if it's open really long and there's people, they get blurry. So at the end, it just goes flash. So don't use night mode unless you want your camera to flash. This landscape mode here with the picture of the mountain, do you know what that one does? That's for everything that's really far away. So that's for all your trees, your bottom of your garden, when you're out in the hills, by a lake, it's all of those things. And macro mode, flower mode, that's for when you're trying to photograph something teeny tiny just here. So if I'm here and my camera's about here and I want to photograph this, flower mode, macro mode, close-up mode. So, as I said, check the manual. So you can get your manuals. Most of them are online. So this is an example from Lucas's manual, and it tells you macro mode. It shows you which button to use. It says what to do, and it tells you when it's on and when it's off and how to set it. So there you go. Now, macro mode, remember I said it's for when things are very close. This can be anything from like an inch, 2.5 centimetres away from the camera lens, up to like 0.5 metre it sometimes counts, give or take. So it's for things that you're quite close to. And it only focuses on a small amount of your picture. Do you see this wonderful picture that was Lucas's that I've pulled out from earlier? This, do you see this yellow flower? This is in focus. But do you look down here, all of the greenery, this is out of focus because it's focused close up only on the thing closest to the camera. And this wall, which is further back, is also out of focus. Landscape mode, however, this is good when things are far away. Do you see this in the sea? This is really far away, and all these stones go out. The water's in focus still, and that post. So this is good for things that are a good few strides away. Think if you were taking a photo of a person in front of like a landmark, or being a tourist, or your friends when you're out in the park or whatever. This focuses on everything in the picture. So it means you can see it all and nothing's distracting. When something's close up, you don't want the background to distract you, too much information. But when it's all far away like this beachscape, you want to be able to see it all. So that's the landscape mode you want to use. So I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see, but this one here, the focus only comes, like these stones are in focus, and then it starts dropping away, and then all of this is blurry. See over here, it's sharp and you can see the sea and you've got loads of details, and that post in the sea, that is in focus. Over here, it's all blurry. So this is using a much more close-up or portrait mode. So it's only got this close to you bit in focus and the rest goes. And as a portrait goes, you'll see as the landscape goes, we'll show you that photo in full later. It's not great. Whereas this one, is. So that's why we use landscape mode. On your mobile, when you want to focus on something, you take the phone and often wherever on the screen you press, so do you see this guy's pressing just here on this side of the corner of the computer monitor? If you wanted this over here to be in focus, he'd have to put his finger just here. And on some, it allows you to lock. So that says autofocus lock. AE means exposure, so that's how bright it is. AF means focus. So if you press and hold or press that lock button, that means that even if you move your phone, it's going to stay. If I focused it at 1 meter away on an object, it's going to keep that focus. Even when I move my phone, it's going to stay at 1 meter. So if I move backwards away from it, everything's going to look blurry because it's trying to focus at a meter and you're right back here. So be aware if you lock it, you don't want to move back from it or closer to it, else it's going to be out of focus. On a camera, however, to focus, you know you've got the button. When you start to press that, it's fully up. You press it halfway down, so you gently press it, and that should focus. You hear the camera go shh or make a little noise, and you should see the picture change and go in and out of focus until it gets what you're looking for. So if your photos aren't focusing on your camera, try pressing the button halfway, unless you have a photographer as a parent and they've got back button focus set up. So just ask your parent if you're using their camera and they are a photographer, how have they got the focus set up? But normal cameras, straight out the box, it's half press. And then so that focuses, and then when you want to shoot, you press it. So instead of just going chunk on the whole thing, you want to go half and then chunk. So let's have a look at some photos that you could do. This is some Lego men on a rock, and do you see how all the rocks behind them in the garden are out of focus? So this is using the macro mode, and then we focused on the men. Now, it's quite easy when things are the only thing and the background isn't for a good distance to focus with macro mode, because it automatically hunts for what's closest and it's found it here. The problem is, if the scene is busy like here, there's so many different points it could focus on. What do you do if it doesn't focus on your ladybug in the garden? Your ladybird is like blurry and all the leaves at the back are in focus. So if it, instead of focusing here, it focused over there, what would you do? Well, if you keep it where it is with your button half pressed or with your focus grid and tapped hasn't worked, just move slightly backwards and see if it goes into focus. Move slightly forwards and see. So you can manually move yourself and the camera backwards and forwards until it focuses. Or with the camera, it might use automatic focusing. You can press the button halfway a few times and see if it moves where it focuses and jumps around. Again, on the phone screen, it should be easiest because you should just tap. So you literally, where the butterfly is, that's where you put your finger. So move the camera backwards or forwards until it focuses where you want. So on this one, do you see they wanted the dog and the person in focus, but the dog in front of them they didn't want. So if it had focused on the dog in front, I would move the camera closer to the people, and then the people will be in focus. If it's focused on all of the stuff in the background and the person's out of focus, pull it back towards you and it should move. So there you go. What do you want to do if you need more in focus? If you're taking a shot and you need more than just that little bit, is try landscape or mountain mode, or maybe even auto. So here are my guinea pigs, and do you see my focus here? It was trying to focus on too little but of the photo. So it was focusing on auto, it was focusing on Joseph at the back. He's the tricolour, the red, black and white guinea pig. But Benjamin, you can't see his nose, he's out of focus. And here, it focused on Benjamin. And Joseph with the watermelon is out of focus and he's blurry. So then, when you put it on the I want everything in focus mode, then you get both guinea pigs and you get the wall at the back and the grass at the front. So that's the difference landscape mode can make. It means everything from the front to the back of the photo is in focus. So instead of having one guinea pig at the back at focus, one guinea pig at the front at focus, I've got both guinea pigs at the front and the back at focus. In landscapes, you generally want more in focus. If you're doing that garden shot, you want it front to back in focus, the whole thing. So here, do you remember we said, it's a nice photo of the rocks, but as a landscape, not so good. Do you see the difference there? All blurry at the background, sharp, blurry, sharp. That's landscape mode. So I look forward to seeing your photos, which should be this one. We're looking at focus and close up and far away, and you can manually move yourself backwards and forwards. So I would like you to choose to take I want a photo of something that you take close up or far away. You can choose, or you could do both, but I want you to try focusing and moving or refocusing until it's exactly what you want, until everything you need in focus is in. So remember, if you're close up, you only want a little bit in, and if you're doing a landscape, you want everything in. So have a play with your camera and your settings and see what you can come up with for me. Show me your first attempt that doesn't work, and show me your second attempt as a photo that's great. That's everything. We'll see you soon. Take care then. And Zoom call, we're keeping it at the 15 minutes earlier start time. So it's at the 1/4 past, not the 1/2 past, just because then we can make sure we're finished before the hour, because I've got another call on the hour and I want to make sure we still give you the full time that you need for the games and fun and for looking at your photos and seeing where the points are up to. So day 3, challenge day 3, everybody's now got their photos in who I think I'm expecting on the Zoom call at least. If anybody else has done the photos, please either email them to me or jump in the Facebook group. So if you're not on Facebook, you can email them to me, and the points can be added retroactively, which means backdated. So even if you've not managed to show up now and you've only just joined us, because I know a day or 2 ago we had a few new sign-ups, but you've not turned up yet. So I'd love to see your photos and what you've done with the challenge videos. Take care. Bye.